In the history of this channel, there have been recurring characters such as Meghan Markle and the close second Bill Gates, but I think the third character, very promising with a lot of potential, should be Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI and the makers of ChatGPT, which is used by pretty much everybody nowadays. What is this? This is a Tucker Carlson interview in which they were talking about this strange suicide of an OpenAI whistleblower found dead in San Francisco apartment in December of 2024. What happened with this case? Well, here are the details. Sam Altman sounds very guilty in the suspicious death of OpenAI whistleblower Suchir Balaji last year, says Nick Sortor. The official narrative is, quote-unquote, suicide, but Balaji's family believes he was murdered on Altman's orders. The circumstances are incredibly concerning. Happened 1 month after New York Times reported that he would testify in lawsuits against OpenAI and copyright, as in OpenAI was training ChatGPT on stuff was copyrighted, and they were not paying any copyrights for that. So yeah, that was a big deal. They were essentially stealing content. He died just minutes after receiving a DoorDash order. A third-party autopsy revealed a second gunshot wound, signs of struggle, head trauma, and more that were not mentioned in the city's rushed 40-minute autopsy. How do you make an autopsy? How do you do an autopsy in 40 minutes? No, that is fast. The hard drive containing potential evidence is missing. Closets seemingly ransacked, potentially looking for documents or evidence. CCTV cameras disconnected. The security of his apartment was disconnected. The wires cut. And San Francisco's autopsy omitted key details such as no ballistic analysis, toxicology screening, or examination of potential defensive wounds. Even Elon Musk said this doesn't seem like a suicide. So we have the interview. Maybe this video is going to be a bit longer than my usual analysis because I'm going to just go with it. Even so, I made sure to just cut the specific parts in which Sam Altman was responding to Tucker Carlson's remarks, as in, you know what, this definitely doesn't look like a suicide. This looks like something else. This is basically the parts that I cut off from this clip of the interview to make it shorter. But what Tucker was speaking was the details that I already mentioned. So we can just begin.
So you had complaints from one programmer who said you guys are basically stealing people's stuff and not paying them, and then he wound up murdered. What was that?
Also a great tragedy. He committed suicide.
One thing that you have to be warned is that Sam Altman has a very strong vocal fry. Saying he speak like this, and I don't know why, but that's his voice. And well, maybe the captions are gonna be a bit messy sometimes. But if you can understand him, then we are good to go. So he thinks that he committed.
Also a great tragedy. He committed suicide.
What is that? When he says that he committed suicide, he looks down. He's looking at Tucker Carlson most of the time, and when he nods with his head and says, also a great tragedy, he committed suicide, he doesn't look directly at Tucker. Then he raises his eyes.
Do you think he committed suicide?
I really do.
Have you looked?
This was like a friend of mine. This is like a guy that, and not a close friend, but this is someone that worked at OpenAI for a very long time.
Again, this was like a friend of mine, but was not a close friend. This was a guy who worked at OpenAI for a long time. There's a bit of kind of a soft contradiction in that one.
I was really shaken by this tragedy. I spent a lot of time trying to, read everything I could, as I'm sure you and others did too, about what happened. It looks like a suicide to me.
Why does it look like a suicide?
Yeah, but it's a very good question. It looks like a suicide to me. That is assessment, a personal assessment of the things. Sam Altman says he could have said it was ruled as a suicide, but instead he chose to say it feels like a suicide. It looks like a suicide to me. Okay, he could have said it was ruled out as a suicide, and that's it. That's the end of the conversation.
It looks like a suicide to me.
Why does it look like a suicide?
It was a gun he had purchased. It was this is like gruesome to talk about, but I read the whole
Well, this looks like a suicide to me. He purchased a gun. Well, maybe someone else could have used that gun on him, especially with the circumstances in which there was blood everywhere in different rooms of the apartment. So it was really odd.
The medical record, does it not look like one to you?
No, he was definitely murdered, I think.
It was definitely murder. Tucker Carlson pushes on because the evidence is so overwhelming in so many ways that no, this couldn't have been a suicide. So that's why he at least what Tucker is doing here is trying to make Sam Altman at least acknowledge that this is too strange to be a suicide. At least consider that this could be something else. Okay, that he might be killed by some attacker or somebody broke into his house, something like that. Anything. But this is what happens.
He's found dead with blood in multiple rooms, so that's impossible. Seems really obvious he was murdered. Have you talked to the authorities about it?
I have not talked to the authorities about it.
Again, it's so hard to understand him at times.
I have not talked to the authorities about it.
I have not talked about to the authorities about that.
And his mother claims he was murdered on your orders.
Do you believe that?
I'm asking.
I mean, you just said it, so do you believe that?
I think that it is worth looking into.
I think it was a good question from Sam Altman, as in, okay, this guy's mother is saying that he was murdered on my orders. And he asks the questions, do you believe that he is making Tucker Carlson do some kind of personal assessment of the facts? Again, he could have said, well, I was interrogated as well. I was cleared up as well. So I don't know what kind of, evidence would tie me to this tragedy. I'm really sorry about that, about what happened, but I was cleared of this. He could have said that as well, but no, he kind of taunts Tucker Carlson as in, well, do you believe this is true? It's like he's taking the seat as the interviewer in this case. It was interesting that exchange. It's like taking the offensive.
I've done too many interviews where I've been accused of like.
Oh, I'm not accusing you at all. I'm just saying his mother says that. I don't think a fair read of the evidence suggests suicide at all.
Notice that Sam Altman goes all in as you are accusing. I've never been in many interviews in which I've been accused of murder, which Tucker Carlson is not actually accusing him of murder. That is the thing. That is an overreaction on Altman's side. What Tucker Carlson said is that the whistleblower's mother claims this, not that Tucker Carlson is accusing him. Big difference. And Sam Altman, in all his calm and collected and etc., reacts that way. That is I don't know. That is a soft red flag as well. Why would you react like that? Oh, you are accusing me? No, he is not.
Accused of like.
Oh, I'm not accusing you at all. I'm just saying his mother says that. I don't think a fair read of the evidence suggests suicide at all.
I mean, I think they looked into it a couple of times, more than once, as I understand it. I saw and I will totally say, when I first heard about this, it sounded very suspicious to me.
Yes.
And I know you had been involved in.
Was mother
you were
reached
asked to look
out
into the case,
and I don't know anything about it. It's not my world.
Yeah, it was the mother of the guy who reached out directly to Tucker Carlson to talk about the what happened, what she thinks happened, and they had a very lengthy talk.
She just reached out cold?
She reached out cold.
Wow.
And I spoke to her at great length, and it scared the crap out of me.
Again, I think this is, I feel strange and sad debating this and having to
I'm not
myself
even
seem
debating
totally
it, I'm
crazy.
just
And you are a
asking.
little bit accusing me, but
Again, he says, you are a little bit accusing me. He is telling Tucker about something that Tucker Carlson is not actually doing. He's just saying, can't you at least acknowledge that this was suspicious, were suspicious circumstances, instead of saying that it looks like a suicide to me. But it is strange, right? Because you can say, okay, yeah, the circumstances were really odd, but ultimately the authorities, and you resort to what the authorities said. But instead, he kind of enjoys making this about himself. Oh, you are accusing me of this. You are a little bit accusing me, but
this was like a wonderful person and a family that is clearly struggling.
Yes.
And I think you can totally take the point that you're just trying to get to the truth of what happened, and I respect that. But I think his memory and his family deserve to be treated with a level of respect and grief that I don't quite feel here.
Yeah, respect and grief would be find out about the real circumstances of how he died. That is actual respect. That is finding the truth, knowing about the actual facts. That is respect. So he's trying to deviate from the topic. Okay, can't you at least acknowledge that the circumstances were strange? And he said, notice that he said at some point, yeah, it looked odd to me at first. And then Tucker Carlson says, hey, yes, but no, he doubles down on, no, it was just a suicide after all. As in, he is saying that. It looks like a suicide to me. That's why, I don't know, Sam Altman did all the things, all the steps to make this about kind of himself. He was the one being attacked. I think that you're not treating this with the level of respect and grief that the family deserves. Notice the grandstanding in that statement. All right, so I'm gonna tell you, I've never really liked this guy. Maybe that is a bit of a bias on my side. I don't know what you think about this in the comments, but let's continue.
I'm asking at the behest of his family.
So what I was going to say is, after the first set of information that came out, I was really like, man, this doesn't look like a suicide. I'm confused. This looks like...
Okay, so I'm not being crazy here at all.
But then after the second thing came out and the more detail, I was like, oh, okay.
What changed your mind?
The second report on the way the bullet entered him and the sort of person who had like followed the sort of likely path of things through the room.
All right. I didn't get it. That there was kind of a mini word salad. The way the bullet entered him and the likely path of things through the room.
I assume you looked at this too.
Yes, I did.
And what about that didn't change your mind?
Notice that he once again changes the roles. Okay, he assumes the role of the interviewer, making the question about Tucker and what do you think about this? Again, it's like, I don't want you to be asking me too many things. Let's make some time asking you the question, and that is actually a tactic that I've advised you in other videos and live streams, in which you use questions to erode people's trust in themselves and confidence, self-confidence. That's something that you can do.
It just didn't make any sense to me.
This is where it gets into, I think, a little bit painful, just not the level of respect I'd hope to show to someone with this kind of mental illness.
I totally get it. It's
people
just
do
his
commit
family
suicide without notes a lot. Like, that happens.
For sure.
People definitely order food they like before they commit suicide. Like, this is an incredible tragedy, and
That's his family's view, and they think it was a murder, and that's why I'm asking the question.
If I were his family, I am sure I would want answers, and I'm sure I would not be satisfied.
Again, this is the last part of the clip. I'm gonna tell you a couple things. I think that he made sure not only though to make certain parts about himself and do this grandstanding as him. I think that you're not treating this with the respect that this family deserves. That is a bit of condescending tone. At the same time, making himself the interviewer. What do you think about this? Do you really believe this? You believe that I ordered his murder instead of talking about the facts? If you're innocent, if I was tied to this case, whether it's a suicide or somebody killed him, the authorities would have found some kind of connection, and they found none. So I'm kind of free to go. It would be natural, but the way that he doesn't act like a normal human being. I know that these people can be a bit quirky sometimes, but I don't know. There's this something that doesn't sit well with me, and I cannot put my finger to it. But I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Battle Language Guy. Much love and bliss.